This is not a ride-sharing video. Once again, this is not a ride-sharing video. Now, I had a little problems earlier with the broadcast, but what we were talking about is the so-called Jim Crow legislation in the state of Mississippi, and rather it actually is something that is supposedly rolling back history, or if it is a case of, say, the African American voters in that state just making a hell of a lot of noise out of something that is not really a major threat. So that's what we're going to be talking about. As always, the box is open. Have to accelerate the program because the device overheated on the last conversation. But are you familiar with the so-called Jim Crow legislation they're talking about in Mississippi? Is this something that African Americans or even voters in particular should be concerned with, or is it something over nothing? Now, for you folks, my Google sleuths, my Bing detectives, the bill we're talking about is HB 1020, House Bill 1020, Senate Bill 2889. So HB 1020, SB 2889. This passed, so this is actually a actual bill now, as of, I believe, February 14th, February 15th, something like that. The issue with it is Jackson, Mississippi is a predominantly Democratic city in an overwhelmingly Republican state. Now, there are many cities in America like that. And oftentimes, the Republican constituents in that state do not like how that Democratic city is ran. And this is in every single state in the union. This is not something unique to Mississippi. There are Northern Californians that do not like how Los Angeles is ran. There are Southern Illinoisans that do not like how Chicago is ran. And there are many folks throughout New York State that do not like how New York City is ran. What this bill has given the Republican government the power to do is essentially override any of the will of the people in those cities. Like in Jackson, Mississippi, there's a predominantly white area, a wealthy white area. The governor has given them the power to police themselves, essentially going to send in the Capitol Police, and that police force will have policing powers in their neighborhood. Now, they generally would be policed by the Jackson City Police, but he's going to send in the state police operating under the governor. He also gave his Supreme Court justice the power to appoint judges that will serve the city of Mississippi. So anything that normally would be denoted by the voters, voting in judges, voting in sheriffs and things like that, in the Democratic area, they're likely to be Democratic, or they're likely to have Democratic ideals at play. But because the governor is putting all these folks in, the judges that the governor can appoint don't even have to be from the area. So now Jackson will be controlled by overwhelming Republican politicians, Republican law enforcement. Even though all of the voters in the city, 87% of Jackson City is black, overwhelming, strong Democrat area. It allows them to basically circumvent any of the powers of the voters in that city. Do you see any problem with that? Or are African Americans making too much out of it? Tap the screen. Get your boy up to 5,000 likes. What do I say in every broadcast? I don't ban, censor, or block anybody for their commentary. As always, the program is and will remain MAGA friendly. MAGA are my preferred guests. Going to the comments. Kate says, I feel like we are in World War III now. Well, this seems more like a prelude to a civil issue, because this could put Americans against Americans. I said in the previous broadcast before we had device trouble that there are plenty of Democratic cities in very deep red areas that could follow the template of Jackson. What cities we're talking about? Memphis, Tennessee is a deep red state, or Tennessee is a deep red state. Memphis is a very Democratic area. They could do the same thing in Memphis that they did to Jackson. New Orleans is another place. Perhaps Birmingham, Alabama, Atlanta, in Georgia. Well, Georgia's starting to turn purple, but Nevertheless, Atlanta could be on, Charlotte could be another one, Charlotte, North Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina. There's a host of areas that have a large African American minority population that vote Democrat, but the state is red. Houston, Texas. Anyhow, we're going to the box. Tap the screen, get your boy up to 5,000 likes. I appreciate it. Helps out the algorithms, brings in more MAGA. None other than the one and only, certainly MAGA, friend of the program, Handsome Harris. Good Esther Harris. What do you think of this so-called Jim Crow legislation?
I have no idea why you're saying so-called Jim Crow legislation has nothing to do with that.
Well, that's
And
what
I
people
and
are
I just
calling
I
it. I'm
just
actually
well
passing on what they're saying.
I just read the bill, and I don't see anywhere in there where it says a judge can appoint other judges.
No, it is the Supreme Court justice that has the ability to appoint other justices. You don't see that in there anywhere.
No.
Okay. All right. Well,
All it says is it is allowing for a special district to be created within the state capital district.
okay. Why would that be? I mean, why would you create? Let's say we go into Sacramento, California. Why would you create a special district in the capital of California? Why would you do that?
Well, I mean, if you were to go to Sacramento and you see the people that are in the area around the Capitol, because I've been there. They're not exactly the most favorable of crowds. So
Meaning
sometimes
what? Explain that. Elaborate. What do you mean not favorable? Explain that.
there's a lot of crime in Sacramento, especially around the Capitol. There's a lot of
Okay.
crime. There's a lot of muggings. There's a lot of assaults. There's a lot of mentally ill, homeless people that are on the street. And I'm not saying that in a derogatory way. I'm just saying that in a factual basis.
But
Um,
they have a government in Sacramento.
right.
So why would you create another
Right.
sub-government?
The government. Okay. Try to think of it this way. Why do we have Capitol Police in Washington D.C.?
Because Washington D.C. is a district. You're talking about just the political spirit of it. That's not. I don't think that's the same
But
argument
no,
here.
but hang on. Washington D.C. has police, right? They have D.C. Metro Police.
Yeah.
Okay, so then why does the Capitol Police exist? If we have D.C. Metro Police, then why do we have Capitol Police?
Well, but the
It's the same
capital.
thing.
So you're saying that now in Washington D.C. the Capitol Police are they're under the federal government, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So what was the purpose, in your opinion, of having the Capitol Police, even though we have the D.C. Police? Isn't it to guard the political interest in that area in the District of Columbia?
Why don't you just hire all of the Capitol Police officers as D.C. Metro and assign them to the Capitol? What is the point of having the Capitol Police when you can have DC Metro do it and assign the DC Metro officers to the Capitol?
So are we looking at a potential for redundant police departments all over America?
There's redundancy all over the United States. What are you talking about? There's 483 federal agencies and departments within the federal government, and we only need less than 15 of them.
So at the end of the day, what is the purpose of this then? I mean, are we suggesting, because you used this in the Sacramento example that we both talked about, are we
Mhm.
suggesting that, well, the Sacramento police are doing a poor job because you mentioned crime, so we're just going to put another police department on top of them?
I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that that is the reasoning behind it, because they have an issue to where the city department cannot handle what they have going on within that area. So in order to protect and enrich the area, they are creating a special prosecutorial district uh, around the capital of that state, so that they can have a get a better stronghold on the crime and the cases that are going on in that area.
Okay, and the people,
Basically what they're doing is all they're doing is they're just creating a separate district judge. Is
and
all
the
they're doing.
voters of and the voters of that city have no say so in this, correct?
When have the voters ever had a say in creating another district?
No, that's what I'm asking you. So, in other words, this is something that is being, because I know being leaning right, you yourself are, for the most part, for states' rights and the people being in control. Wouldn't this be just the opposite of that?
No,
You think the
because
people are in control in this?
well, no, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is at the Capitol, who is at the Capitol?
No, but we're talking specifically in terms of Jackson. There,
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Who is at the Capitol of Jackson, Mississippi?
the governor.
And the state Senate and the state House of
Yeah.
Representatives.
But that's
Okay.
not the only people they're policing. They're suggesting that these folks will have police powers throughout the city.
Okay. It's the capital city.
So what is the purpose of the regular Jackson police then? You just pretty
So
much overwrote them.
so
I don't.
nowhere so again, nowhere in the bill did I see anything about creating a separate police department. I saw it talking about the creation of a separate prosecutorial district.
Why is that? Why is that?
That happens all the time. States
I
create a
don't.
separate prosecutorial district so that they can have a separate judge to just be assigned to just that smaller district because they have a higher caseload in that area.
So once again, I'm asking you because leaning right, aren't you? Don't you tend to be for less government? Doesn't this sound like more government?
Yes, I so let me be very clear about this because you seem to be missing the point, okay? I have never once said I was for or against this. Okay? What I am saying is the entire basis of this legislation is to create a new prosecutorial district so that they can have another judge or two or another district attorney or two because the caseload within that district is too high for the city to be dealing with it. So they are
So
hiring they are creating a separate district to just be assigned to those cases within that area. That's it.
okay, okay. So how do you respond to folks in that city area, Jackson, Mississippi, which is 87% black, that are suggesting that all of these entities you're talking about are overwhelmingly white? The prosecutor, the judges you're talking about, the police force, they're all white people. How do you respond to that?
Um, the last time I looked at a picture of the Jackson, Mississippi Police Department, it was not overwhelmingly white.
I'm telling you what the citizens are saying. I'm not talking about the picture. I don't know what you saw in the picture,
Um,
but that is what the. So you're saying the citizens that are there are wrong about that?
I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying that I've seen a picture of the police department and it was not
Okay.
overwhelmingly white.
All right.
Um,
What if it is though? What if it actually is, where all of a sudden they're coming to an
I don't
area that's 87% black, and everybody they're putting in power are white? How do you see
I'm
any issue with that?
No, because I'm going to quote an individual who I think was way before his time in civil rights. I don't care about the color of your skin. I care about the content of your character. As long as that police officer does what he's supposed to do and he doesn't go out the realm of his authority, I don't give a shit what color he is. As
Right.
long as he treats people
So
with respect, I don't give a shit what color they are.
and I agree with the sentiment, but if you have a town that's 87% black and all of the police force and the judges are white, how does that happen when the town is predominantly black? How could that even happen without
I
some
guess
type
I
of
guess
intention?
I don't know. I mean if judges are white and city officials are white, I guess that means that black people are voting for the white people. Is if it's
They're not
80 if the
you just
city is if the city is 80% white or black, then guess what? That means the overwhelming majority of those black people are voting for the white people.
but we just basically agreed that this is not something that is the will of the people. The governor is doing this. What's happening in Jackson, Mississippi, the voters don't like it. So it's not that the people are voting these folks in. It's being pushed upon them.
No, you're missing the point. Okay? So, judges are voted in, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not happening
City
here though.
city 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 hang on. City officials are voted in, correct?
Yes.
Okay. State officials, state representatives, state Senate, state House of Representatives, and the governor are all voted in, correct?
Right.
Okay. So in the area of Jackson, Mississippi, if the city officials are doing things that the people don't like, then why do they continue to vote for those white people? If the city is 80% black, then that means that the majority of of those black individuals are voting for the white people.
And see, that you and I are not seeing the same thing on this because the problem they're having is not with city officials; it's with state officials that the governor is sending in. You and I are interpreting it as different. The Capitol Police, for instance, those are not city officials. That is something coming from the governor. The stuff that's happening in Mississippi, at least from the folks from Jackson that I've heard of, are suggesting that in this city, the folks we would normally vote and elect to be over us, the governor is overriding them. For instance, the judges that they're sending in do not even have to be from Jackson. They could be from anywhere in the state. So
Nowhere,
those
nowhere in that legislation does it say that.
okay. Well, this is what they are alleging. So if you see them as
So,
being
so,
wrong,
so people can allege things all they want, but the fact of the matter is if you don't read the legislation, then you're just going off of hearsay.
all right, all right, fair enough. We'll leave it at that. I got to move it on, but every political analyst listened to totally different statements. So the way you read the bill and interpreted it, all of the legal folks that are posted online, white, black, and indifferent, are saying just the opposite. So perhaps we'll see what happens. Looking in the comments, how do we know if this dude is correct? Says San Chris. We don't. You don't know if he's correct. You don't know if I'm correct. However, I do ask folks to do their homework. And like I say in every broadcast, I don't talk down to my guests and whether or not a guest agrees or disagrees, because me and the last caller obviously did not agree on this at all. But I make the solemn promise I'll give you time, plenty of time to state and get your point across. All right, going back to the box. It is Miss T415. Are African Americans making this up? Are we making something over nothing in the city of Jackson, Mississippi? I don't know if T is coming through, but we'll see. Does last caller disingenuous as fuck? Says Sage. I don't know. I want to hear from you folks. Miss T, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. This is our first time speaking, so thank you for letting me in.
It's a pleasure.
Secondly,
So, go
I
ahead.
think he's delusional.
How so? Elaborate.
Um, well, I have the privilege of my father living in Mississippi, so I have first hand knowledge. He's 73. He's been there all his life, so he's seen a lot of changes.
Yeah, you've seen a lot of shit. Yeah, keep
Uh-huh.
going.
So they they cannot vote. The citizens cannot vote. Everyone is appointed, and
Yeah.
the area that they're doing is all white, and it's just to protect the white citizens.
Mm.
They're saying
With
that
the Capitol Police.
no, not with the capital. Well, see, it's going to be two separate police districts. It's going to be people that are just only going to be where they already are, and the new one is only for to protect certain areas, the upper echelon, if you will, in certain places in Mississippi. That's the area that the new police area is going to be for only.
That new police department that's in that white area, are all of those cops white? Do we know who those cops are? Like, where are they coming from?
We don't know who the cops are as of yet. They have not. They've only how do I say it? They've only decided how many and who would be there. They haven't decided the actual person. So they've already decided that they're going to have like four district attorneys and stuff like that. But the
What
actual
about their
people,
area? What about their area of jurisdiction? Let's say, for instance, you're in this area and they don't want you in the area, so you take off running. Can they go in areas that they normally would not be over?
they have to get the white officers from the other area to come and assist if they're white people. They are not allowed. They have to be two officers. They can stop them. They can arrest them. It's a whole
This is
lot of
a
stuff that's
mess.
going on.
Yeah, this is a mess. Wow. So
It's very bad,
is it now
and they are not.
in
A
my
lot of people
opening
are not happy.
Yeah, in my opening monologue, I pointed out that this possibly could be a template for other Democratic cities in deep red areas to find themselves targeted of. Memphis, New Orleans, Louisville, places like. Can you see this spreading at all?
It's just like what Ron DeSantis is doing, and then spread it to Arkansas and everywhere else. It's just going to keep growing. It's just going to
How do you
keep growing.
stop it?
They're not trying to. They're not trying to put us back 50 years. They're trying to put us back 150 years.
How do you stop something like this?
The federal government has to say something or do something, because what they're doing, the Supreme Court is sending everything back down to the states. So when they send everything back down to the states and it says, okay, well, we have ultimate power, they're going to terrorize their citizens.
So let me ask it to you this way, in defense of my last caller, what he was talking about. Is it possible what they're doing in Mississippi? Is it possible they could do that in a way that is non-racist?
No.
Mm. Wow. So do you see it going back to a time where a black man walking through this wealthy neighborhood could be stopped and profiled and very similar to what we used to have?
Didn't we already have it already with the young man? What's his name? With the Skittles? That's talking. What's his
Trayvon Martin. I'm talking about Trayvon
Trayvon
Martin
Martin?
in Sanford, Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, but in defense of that situation, George Zimmerman was not a cop though. He wasn't a law enforcement official.
Absolutely. So just think if he
Yeah.
was a law enforcement official.
Yeah, yeah. Shit. This is scary. This is
It, it,
scary. I
it's
mean,
it, it is very scary. I believe in I don't believe in staying your ground, but I do believe in having your hell. I just bought we just got everyone in my family, in my household, we just purchased new guns.
is stuff like this what led you to potentially, arming yourself? Are you afraid of burglars, tyranny, or in this case, white supremacists? I mean, what led you to purchasing a firearm?
I've been seeing an increase of younger black women attacked in my area. One of my cheerleaders was almost hit with a bat from this Russian guy yelling and screaming at her, got out of his car and tried to hit her with a bat.
So
Because he said,
you talking about racial attacks?
yeah, yelling, screaming. I've had it happen to me. And my husband just said, you know what, no more. So my son, he's
Wow.
22. He just got his firearm. Our daughter's 29. She has hers, and I just got mine. Because we
Might
have
I ask,
to,
I'm just curious if you don't mind. What state are you in?
I'm in California.
Wow, really?
All
Northern
day.
Cal?
Yeah, I'm in Sacramento. So when that guy was talking about Sacramento, I'm just like, what? He was talking about the homelessness. He's talking about the homelessness issue, and it is kind of rocky. But they're not out here attacking regular citizens. They're fighting with amongst each other in their little camps and all that kind of stuff. And the homelessness has gotten horrible out here because
Yeah.
nobody can afford anything. It's bad.
Your cost of
It
living is
really.
ridiculous. All right, well, I got to part ways with you, but before I do, one other question I want to ask. I watch a lot of right wing media, and one of the things they often talk about in regards to California is supposed tough gun laws. Now, if you're in the capital of that state, what type of hoops or hurdles, if any, did you have to go to get a firearm?
I just had to wait 2 weeks. We took our fire safety test, and then we go in and practice. I've actually taken a class. To get the concealed license, it is a lot. You have to do a lot of hours, a lot of practice. Costs a lot of money. But other than
How
that,
much? I'm just curious. Like what range? What price range?
I got a Glock 19. That was about 560. And then the ammunition is expensive, and then the
No, no,
classes
you
there.
talking about the price of the weapon. What
Uh-huh.
type of permit cost or training class cost or things like that?
Oh, they're anywhere from like $89 to like $300, depending on what you want to do. And you have to
Right.
have a certain amount of hours to get a concealed license. So, and I think it's like $1,600. It's a lot. So you have to
Damn.
keep paying. Yeah, you have to keep paying and paying. So of course I don't carry. Nobody in my house carries, but we do have personal protection at home.
Well, shit. If you got a gun because of racial attacks, you're not carrying though. So you're just talking about really having it in your home at this point.
Yeah, well, at this point, once we got to keep getting the classes and get up there until we're able to carry it.
1,600 hours.
Yeah, it
Jesus.
depending on what you want to do.
I just
How
want to carry
living.
a gun. I just want to carry a gun. I don't want to do anything else.
And
Well,
the second reason why I wanted that I'm definitely gonna get a carry. I was at Chipotle, and it was a mega person with a mega T-shirt, but he had um a gun on each hip, and then he had the little holster thing around his leg, and I'm like, why? You can only shoot one guy at a time. Why do you need so many at Chipotle? And I just that knocked me. You could have knocked me over with a feather. I couldn't deal with. I was.
well, I tell you something. There's many nights at 2 a.m. where one of their burritos almost killed me. So I get it. I, I got to move it on, Miss T. Good talk. Good talk. Come on back to anytime.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. 1,600 hours. Holy shit. Oh, I make it clear in the program I do carry in 1,600 hours. Now, I'm no longer in a blue state, though, but 1,600 hours is a major, major hurdle. That's very similar to some of the old abortion laws where they make you go home and come back in 3 days or whatever. That can literally deter your decision. 1,600 hours, I would think you're trying to be a Cessna pilot. That's a long time. If somebody is threatening to kill your ass, I'll see your ass in 1,600 hours. I'm not going to pop the trunk, but 1,600 hours, come holler back at your boy. All right, going back into the box. We'll keep it moving with the Gary Armstrong effect. That's an interesting name. Let's make it happen. Appreciate you folks holding on. I'll try to get to you as much as I can. Tap the screen. 800 plus of us in here. We should be able to reach 15,000 likes quite shortly. If you want to show your boy some love, help out the algorithms, bring your boy more MAGA. You know what I prefer in here. Liberals are welcome. Gary, good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon. How you doing, boss man?
I don't even know what this Mississippi thing. Are you aware of what happened down there?
No, I'm not at 49 years old, sir. I'll be 50 in May. I'm not aware. I'm not aware of everything that's going on, but I've done a lot of reading. I've done a lot of homework. I've done a lot of research. Like I say,
Well, let me ask
49.
you this.
Go
In
ahead.
regards to the reading and research you have done, do you see America as moving forward towards a more harmonic country, equality, or do you see us moving backwards, say towards oppression and Jim Crow?
Both. Both.
Explain. Explain.
Both of them. It's 1 minute it's hot in the world, next minute it's cold. We live in a bipolar world. We
Mm.
came into a world full of, 1 minute you're happy, 1 minute you're sad, 1 minute is this, 1 minute is that. Both of those things that you just said is occurring or taking place all at the same time.
You sound like my ex-wife. So give me some examples of where you see us moving backwards.
Backwards as in every race is turning on each other. The whole human race is turning on each other. The blacks against the whites. But even
Why
those,
is that? Why are we all of a sudden turning on each other?
I mean, you got to think about it. This is bigger than us. We keep trying to make it about us, but the story is bigger than us. It's bigger than making
Why?
America great
But I
again.
need to know even if it's bigger than us, it has to have a reason. Why is this happening?
I mean, you got to think about it. When the master tell the slave to do something, or the mother or the father tell the child to do something, the child is rebellious. The slave may be rebellious. The slave may not want to listen to the master and stand up against the master. And once you stand up against the master or the mother or the father, they inflict rules and laws and consequences
Wait.
for them.
Okay, I need to know who represents the slave, who represents the master.
To me, the slave is of anything that is of poor. That could be Hispanic. We know Hispanic people are of a poor people descendant. We know black people are of a poor descendant. Anything that is of a poor and represent the word have not is of live the life of a slave, have the personality and character of portrayal of the slave.
So would you refer to somebody like, let's say, Tyler Perry or Oprah Winfrey, who are very wealthy? Do you refer to them as massa?
Um, well, I mean, you can fall in that category by your personality and character. So yes, some of them can, some of these rich people, because the slave is behaving like his master. The black man is acting just like his master. He doing just what the master did to him. He doing it to his own people. He even do it to himself.
Give me examples. Give me examples of how the black man is acting like a slave owner, slave trader, massa, whatever you say. Give me examples of that.
Okay, well, the black people, white we accuse white people. Black people told me all my life to watch out for the white man. Don't trust him. Don't trust the other race. But that same black man that was telling me that was the one who harmed me first. Was the first to do the worst to me. And then at the same time, the black man, the slave is telling the black man is telling the black man to watch out for this and watch out for that. But he behaving just like the slave. He's destroying his own people the same way the slave master is destroying his own people and destroying the race. You look at the black woman. The black woman is being taught to keep the black man out of the house. The black man can't be in the same house with the black woman and the black child. So the black woman is going to follow what the slave master has taught her to keep him away.
So you believe black women, modern day black women, the way they're treating men, they're exhibiting basically knowledge and teachings of what they were taught from slave masters?
It's not just the black woman, but the black man has been conditioned the same. He's treating the black woman the same. The black woman is talking about the black man. The black man pointing the finger at the black woman. The black woman and the black man is pointing the finger at the black child, and the black child is pointing the finger right back. We all acting like the slave master. We get rich. We get the money. We do all the things. Once we get the money, we act just like the slave master. We acting on YouTube right now on the media. My definition of the word media, most effective devil in America. Right now, black people was never able to make it in a lot of ways that other humans made it. So the black man and the black woman is running the social media right now.
All right. So do you see anything that, say, because a lot of African Americans, you pointed out, often are talking about be careful of the white man. Do you see anything in modern day times, 2023, that white people are doing to hold blacks back? Or is it really just blacks holding each other back? How do you see that?
I see that going both. The black is holding the black man back. The white man is holding the black man back. I just got my Section 8. And in 2 different counties, one of them, listen here, I was the only black man in there and got a Section 8. But understand this, the whole time I was in there, 2 different counties. One county saying that my first and last name, they got me mixed up with somebody else who been getting in all kind of trouble. That ain't even me. The other county done already gave me my Section 8. But this county...
All right, I got to move it on, man. Very passionate opinions. Hey, you're always welcome back, man. Certainly some passion I can detect there. I do have to move the program on, though, but come on back anytime.
Okay, thank you.
All right, appreciate it.
That's passion. I seen the. I'm watching the ticker. I'm watching your comments coming in. There's a lot of folks who agree with the brother, but there were plenty that disagreed. But he certainly is not the first individual that I have heard suggest that while blacks are always blaming and focused on the white man, a lot of their problems are internal. I mean, what he said, I've talked to many people that resonates with, but it's a different conversation for a different time. Looking in the comments, Section 8, he may be right. What's wrong with Section 8? Everybody can use a little help. I don't know who's been slaving him. Wow. Okay, well, like I said, my brother had a bunch of passion and views, and as always, I say on every broadcast, I don't block, ban, or censor anyone, regardless if I agree with them or not. The whole purpose of this program is to show that if we can have civilized dialogue from all sorts of viewpoints, civilized, they can do the same shit in Washington. They're just not trying. So we make it happen here, even without a moderator. Going back to the box, it is Greg's house. Good afternoon, Rainy, by the way. Greg's house. Welcome back to the program. Talking about the Mississippi alleged Jim Crow bill out of Mississippi. Have you heard about that at all?
I did see a little bit about it, and I think it just goes to show that there are forces that are still trying to go backwards in time.
Mm.
I think that this is, and you were saying about uniting. I don't think that'll ever happen because you have 30% of the country that is in a literal cult. They are not they're not coming out. They're going to stay there, and they don't really care. They don't really care about progress that is made. And speaking as a white man, I don't have, I have uh, white privilege, obviously. I know that. I didn't have to have the talk. I didn't have to do any of that stuff with my
Explain.
parents.
Let me ask you this, because I hear this all the time when we talk about when we have white privilege discussions. Is it possible for a white person that was born poor, having to have had to work hard for everything he had and struggle his way to some form of success? Is it possible that poverty-born white person could still have white privilege?
I think there are things that they have just being white that help them get ahead. I think that, yes, my mother came from a very poor family, but she still was able to go to college and she was able to get a degree and she was able to get a job. And this is
Mhm.
in the 70s. She taught in actually lower income communities that were African American, believe it or not. One of her first teaching jobs was actually in an African American community. And so, um, you know, she definitely did work hard, but unfortunately, there are forces that are holding down people still in this country, and uh,
Well,
they
give me some. Even though you're Victor, I appreciate the heart. Thank you for your generosity there. Thank you. Give me an example of something, because I get countered on this often, particularly from MAGA and Republicans. Give me some examples of what you believe in 2023 is holding down African Americans. Thank you, Jenny. Give me some examples of what you could see, because we say that in our community and it's generally met with resistance. Ain't nothing stopping a black person from
look
doing anything a white person wants to do. That's
look
what I
at
hear all the time.
look at the voter suppression laws that are passed all over the country. Look at the districts that get closed down. They have, African Americans have to travel much further in some of these communities to vote, and some of them, they stay in line for hours. So there is
Yeah.
still systematic suppression. It's just it 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 looks like it has a smile over it because everybody's all happy together, but really there are still these inner workings of evil that are still
Mm.
here. And you look at real estate, you look at credit for, applications, there is still prejudice going on there. So obviously that needs to change. And again, this narrative that the media is dividing us is such a tired narrative. That is not what is dividing us. What is dividing us is people's own prejudice. People's own prejudice is what is dividing us. And when you are triggered maybe by an opinion show on the media networks, Fox News most recently is an actual opinion show. You
Yeah.
start to then you start to then understand where these opinions are coming from, and that is why, and that is only why, that there is
Yeah.
still systematic racism.
Mm. You know what? So why do you believe that so many? Because I'm constantly talking to folks, that are not people of color, particularly on this app, and there's a particularly among MAGA. Just, I would say almost all of them do not believe white privilege is a real thing. So why? How is it that you can see it when there's so many other white people that tell you what you're seeing is wrong?
Because those people are racist,
Mm.
and
So
that's
you
just the
believe that
bottom line.
so you believe if a person says that white privilege is not real, they are racist.
Of course, because they're
Wow.
in the system and they've never experienced their own. I mean, I had a friend, a black friend, who came over to my rich white neighborhood. He called me before he got out of the car because he wanted me to come outside and he wanted me to make sure that the neighborhood knew that I knew him. That is white privilege.
That's scary. I've done that before, so I know what that feels like. I don't want to be on this person's porch knocking on the door. I didn't call the person to make sure they came outside, but I called
And
like,
and
dude,
and,
are
and
you
in these
home?
comments, people saying, "Where's my privilege?" that are white, you're just you're not adding anything to this conversation. You're
Well,
just
but
you're
that's
just
why I asked
gaslighting.
you. But that's why I asked you to describe it from a standpoint of being impoverished, because a lot of folks, they do believe. Listen, I had to struggle just like you did to get, to make my way. How the hell was I privileged? Now, the example I often give is that you could take two people, do not have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, two homeless folks, one black, one white, and they both sleep in the doorway of closed businesses at night. And for some reason, every night the cops are coming to the black person and saying, you got to move along, and ignoring the white person. You can be in that situation where you don't have shit, but still somehow have privilege, where the cops are only messing with the guy who's begging and panhandling that happens to be African American, and they're letting the white person get away with it. Now, that's clearly a fictional scenario, but I'm just giving folks a way of letting you know you can be dirt poor and still privileged.
Right, right, and that's another perfect example of just the a cop coming up and saying you got to move it along, you got to move it along, and not saying the same thing to a white person. It is what
Yeah.
it is, and I think that I don't know how you fix that in those type of communities with policing. They've tried to put, African American police in African American areas, but that doesn't always work either because you saw what happened most recently.
That's an interesting point. Now, and I want to interrupt you based on what you just talked about. What the five African American cops in Memphis that beat up the I forgot it, Tyree Nichols, I think his name was.
Yeah,
Do you
Tyree.
see when you got a situation, a predominantly black town, a police force that's led by African American, I think the woman is an African American chief, the five officers are black, and the victim is black. Do you see white supremacy having any type of tentacle in that event at all?
See, I didn't agree with that um, classification there because I don't think that was white supremacy. I think that's just the system. The system is it's a bad system, right? And they've kind of there were studies, I guess, that showed that in my example that it doesn't work putting black African American police in African American cities. So I guess it just further proves that there's a systematic issue with policing
Yeah.
as well. But I just hope that people understand that the reason we are where we are is because we've got a literal cult of personality that will not listen to the other side at all. And it doesn't matter what it is. It's just this is the guy, this is our viewpoint, and we're not leaving. And we're going to pass laws and we don't care.
Okay, before I gotta move it on, but last question before I let you go. Give me your explanation for why you say that these people are in a cult. What do you think they're doing to denote them being cult-like?
I mean, this is a broad example because I'm not specifically speaking about this issue, but you look all over this app and you see echo chambers where people literally are continuing to push the lie that the president Donald Trump won the election, that there's a Supreme Court case called Brunson something that's going to like eventually be passed. It's not going to happen. And they're the MAGA crowd is spitting Russian talking points with Ukraine. It's the only people. They're Republicans, Democrats are mostly united on Ukraine, but MAGA
Yeah.
somehow is spouting all these Russian conspiracies, and they are the only ones.
Fair enough. All right, Greg, I got to move it on. Appreciate you coming in here, man.
All right, thank you.
All right. Now, and tell you folks, even though I will always keep my promise that my program will remain MAGA friendly as long as I'm on the air, I always enjoy talking to MAGA and hearing opinions from the other side. But I will tell you, in my own personal analysis, what that last caller said does appear to resonate with me as well. I talk to Republicans, conservatives, liberals. I go everywhere from left of Bernie Sanders to I'm sitting down having dinner with QAnon. So I talk to everybody. And from what I hear, oftentimes, it does seem like both Republicans and Democrats are united on our assisting of the Ukraine. MAGA does seem to have a different opinion on that. MAGA does seem to view Vladimir Putin as potentially the good guy in that conflict. Whereas I've posted videos of Mitt Romney, Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, even Vice President Mike Pence, all defending our assistance to the Ukraine. But yet MAGA, President Trump himself, are overwhelmingly against it. I don't even know if Ron DeSantis has stated that he is against us assisting the Ukraine. But it is overwhelming among MAGA that we should not be sending that money there. So I don't know why that is such a different viewpoint from MAGA and MAGA alone. Let me go back to the box. It is, well, Rainey was in there. I guess she dropped out. Let me keep it moving. We'll keep it going with Karen Douglas. Appreciate you folks holding on. I'll try to keep it moving. Karen, good afternoon.
Hi. I just wanted to make a comment on the whole issue of white privilege. And I think that, I don't know, I think that it's a deliberate attempt not to understand, but I believe that all white people understand that everybody struggles.
Right.
Everybody struggles. But one of the struggles that they do not have is the color of their skin. They don't have to struggle with that. So that's the white privilege.
Let me ask it to you this way. What if you happen to be a poor white person that moved into a neighborhood that's predominantly black? You go to a school that's predominantly black. Do you feel that they may face any prejudice or struggles going to a high school or something? They're one of the only few white kids there.
They may, in fact, experience prejudice. Everybody, experiences prejudice. And I believe that they would definitely, experience some prejudice. Yeah.
So I have to ask this question in it. If we were in the majority, say for instance, African Americans were not a minority in this country, but the majority in this country, do you think there's any chance that we might turn into oppressors?
Oh, sure. I do believe that, because power does strange things to people. And we still have generational trauma that we have not dealt with that affects us. We as Black people still behave in ways, well, let me say it like this. We have adaptive survival behaviors that we had to have in slavery that we don't necessarily need now. This is my opinion, that we still do, that acts in ways to help us collude in our own oppression. I'll give you an example.
Do you believe in 2023, because you mentioned having these behaviors that we used to have in slavery that we may not need now. Do you believe in 2023 that we're still being oppressed as a people in America, African Americans?
Oh, yeah. Systematically, yes.
Give me some examples. How so?
You have laws and institutions. Say, for instance, like right now, I was looking at what's called spirit murdering. And spirit murdering is a term that was coined by a woman named Patricia Williams. And basically what that means is, like, kids are in school, say public school, public education, and you encounter a teacher who tells you that you're never going to be anything, that Black people can't. I know I'm older, I'm 74. So we actually did have teachers who told us we weren't going to be anything. We couldn't go to college. We had a counselor who told us that Black people
What
didn't go
I'm
to
curious.
college. And so
I'm
that
curious.
kills
What
your
state did you
spirit.
grow up in? What state did you grow up in? I'm just curious.
Missouri.
Yeah.
And I'm
Okay.
unfortunately, and I was educated in Nashville, Tennessee. My
Oh.
undergraduate and graduate years during the late 60s. So, I experienced that too. So, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. One of the things this is my observation. I'm a retired psychologist, marriage and family therapist. One of the things that I see repeatedly is that Black people don't want to tell white people the truth, face to face, if they're asked. And that was a survival behavior. Not all Black people, but majority will not tell them the truth when they ask. Like if they say, do you think I'm racist? Oh, no. Well, behind their backs, they'll be talking about it. They won't tell them the truth because in the past, to tell the truth like that might get you hurt or put your family in danger. So that's one of those residual behaviors that I don't think that people are conscious of, but I think that it acts to keep us from moving forward. Because if someone asks you, that's your opportunity to tell them the truth, what you really feel, so you can at least have some dialogue and people can understand, because it's kind of crazy for you to
Yeah,
think
but
that
how are
people
you
who have never.
gonna? How are you? I'm curious because most racists do not admit they're racist. If somebody is racist and they're admitting it, yeah, they're living off the grid or living in their mom's basement. But you're gonna, even throughout American history, all the way back, you'll have a hard time finding any politician in power or any business CEO coming out and saying I'm racist. So I don't know if, even if you did what you're suggesting and told the truth to somebody, if it would make any difference.
Well, I'm a systems therapist. And so what happens, when you say that, there's going to be an initial rejection because nobody wants to think of themselves as a bad person. And a racist is assumed to be a bad person. They don't want to. So there's an immediate rejection of that. And it's also a protective mechanism too. But after you've had the conversation, people do think about it. They do think about it. And so you have kind of a ripple effect. You will institute some kind of change. At least they'll reflect on it. Because, there is a thing of, you have to be honest with yourself at some time, even if you're not outward with it. Because I believe that if I'm evil to you and mean to you, I know I'm doing it. I'm conscious that I am doing it. Okay. No matter how much I may deny it. So I think that what happens is, we can't have, and I appreciate you having, open dialogue on both sides so that people can hear. But there are people who, no matter, we see it operating right now. You can smack them in the face with facts and they're going to hold on to that. They're going to hold on to that. But I believe that they hold on to it for protective reasons, not always because they believe it. It's because they need to believe it and hold on to it to justify their sense of self.
So let me ask you this before I move on, but I have to ask you this. For what you've seen, I mean, you've lived through a hell of a lot of politicians if you're 74. I'm 50, so I've, not quite, but looking at President Trump, because I talk to MAGA all day, every day, and they believe that he certainly has done more in their opinion for Black people, and it is Biden that is the one that's racist. How is your personal analysis? Do you see President Trump or Biden as being racist or intolerant?
Trump definitely is intolerant. And I personally believe all white people are racist. And so I noticed that MAGA, because that's how they were brought up. That doesn't mean that they are actively going out, but there are belief systems that they have. They have to have. They can't escape
what's your definition of, then I have to ask, what is your definition of racist? If you believe every white person is racist, what is your definition of racist?
A racist to me is a person that upholds and helps maintain and sustain those oppressive systems that are in place. That's what I feel a racist is. You know this stuff is going on, you know it's wrong. You may not participate it in yourself, but you see it going on, you witness it,
So how
and
do
you
you
turn a blind
respond to
eye to it.
how do you respond to somebody like Bernie Sanders, who's white obviously, who spent time in jail during civil rights protests? You see him as being racist because he's white?
I see him as working on his racist beliefs. You have a lot of people who are working on their being, they call it what, anti-racist, that they realize that there are the things that they were taught have seeped into their daily lives, whether they were conscious of it or not. And they're trying to work those things out, to look at it and change that attitude. Of course, Biden 30 years ago, I get so tired of hearing about that 30 years, what he did
Yeah.
30 years ago. I'm tired of hearing that. Okay, I've done things I'm sure you have too 30 years ago that I would not repeat.
mean,
But I have to look at what he's done today. What is he doing
right.
today? Are there vestiges still? I'm sure they are, but he's actively working on it. If you look at what he's done just with the judicial system.
Here's though, I was for the most part probably agreeing with you almost there, but here's where I would say you probably lost me. The term, the suggestion that all white people are racist. There are what they call them ninja lovers. There are white people that have died, helping slaves escape, or I just can't see all white people being racist. Some people have literally lost their lives
Oh,
trying to
yeah,
help.
there's no
Yeah,
denying
so
that. And we would not have the progress that we've had without them. But you still have to recognize and you can't deny that they were raised that way. So there's vestiges. I'm not saying that you're actively acting out, but people do have those feelings. They do. And so, it depends on how you have active races and you have aversive races. Let me say that. So that doesn't mean, like I said before, that they're actively acting out what they believe. A lot are acting in contradiction of what they've done.
right,
So
right.
I agree with you.
Okay.
But I'm just saying that
Karen,
you cannot.
I
It's just
do.
like if my
Go
father.
ahead.
It's just like my father used to call him the Black Archie Bunker. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
because he would always say, the white man calls us to do this, the white man calls you to do this. And so when I got of age, like 16 or 17, I said, well, Dad, are you saying that black folks don't have their own mind? That they just, of course, that tipped him off. But this is what I'm talking about. So if I could believe a little of that, you would believe a little of that until I was able to see for myself that just was not the case, and was able
Right,
to challenge
right.
him on that. So that's
Okay.
what I'm saying on that. And I don't think that having those beliefs makes you inherently a bad person. But I do think that when you recognize that you do have some of those vestiges and you do see where it has unknowingly seeped into
Well,
your
we gotta,
operation, if you don't do
yeah,
anything about it,
we gotta continue striving to move on from it. I do gotta move it on. Karen, first time talking, I certainly enjoyed every minute of that. If you see me on, feel free to come on back through.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Now, in regards to that, very, very astute conversation. I definitely enjoyed that. I will say this, obviously, like I told my last caller, I don't agree that every white person is racist. I do believe that the way our system was brought up, that it could create systemic viewpoints of African Americans, compared to other folks. I'll give you a good example. I know a lot of my MAGA folks have no love for Whoopi Goldberg, so I'm just going to give you something she said, and you can tear it apart at will. But she pointed out how she reached out to the producers of the Star Trek film and
was basically begging to be in that Star Trek The Next Generation. She said because that was one of the first programs that showed that African Americans would be present in the future. So if you watch the first one with I can't think of the William Shatner, and it had a black woman in the original Star Trek. She didn't look like a mammy, is what Whoopi Goldberg said. She didn't look like a maid or a servant. She was a hot-looking chick. And she wanted to be in it because, listen, I grew up in the 70s and 80s. When we were kids, how many African American cartoons were on television? The point I'm trying to make is you can cause a viewpoint towards African Americans compared to whites based on, I don't see any black people on TV doing anything good. Only ones I see are on the 10 o'clock news at night committing crimes. When I watch my cartoons, Superman's white, Spider-Man's white, the astronauts are white. Everybody good is white. So I'm not saying that this has anything to do with racism. I'm saying it could cause it. It could certainly lead you to have a different viewpoint of African Americans. Because when you're growing up, television has a big influence on you. Certainly for a child that grew up in an era like myself in the 70s and 80s, everything on television that was doing something successful for the most part was white, which is probably why the Cosby Show and the Jeffersons done so well, because those were very few unique shows that showed African Americans doing something from a successful standpoint, but everything else was white. So you could actually lead to having black children looking at their own race and saying, I'd rather be born white. Now, I know a lot of folks this may not resonate with, but keep in mind, for any of you folks who like to do your homework, my Google detectives, my Bing sleuths, I would invite you, hopefully after this broadcast is over, go to YouTube and type in the doll test. The doll test, D-O-L-L, the doll test, where they put dolls of different colors in front of children, even children of color, African American children, Hispanic children, and they asked them questions about the dolls. All of the dolls look the exact same. One is white, one is Hispanic, and one is black. And even the Hispanic and black children, we're talking kids that are 5 years of age and younger, already have negative opinions and stereotypes of the black and brown doll. Where the hell they get that from? Even the black children are pointing to the black doll and saying this is most likely to be the bad doll. This is the ugly doll. Where are they getting that from? At 5. At 5. So clearly there is something causing that, where even African American and Hispanic children are developing negative viewpoints of themselves. Something is causing that, which is also why many folks have suggested that even though there were no key players in the black on black Memphis debacle, where the 5 officers killed Tyree Nichols, there are folks that might suggest that those 5 officers that killed that black man would have failed the doll test. Going back to the box, it is the future. Okay, I like it. Like your music, by the way. Future, welcome to the program. If I don't like someone because what they did to me, race has nothing to do with it. That's the way it should be. Future, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir. So we were talking originally about the so-called, what do they call it, Jim Crow legislation in Mississippi, but I'm sure you've been listening to the program. But have you heard anything about what's going on in Mississippi with that bill?
Nah, I haven't.
Okay. You've been listening to the program.
There was a representative that brought up lynching as a form of, unaliving.
You're really low. I can barely hear you. You're really low.
Execution.
Okay, repeat that. I can barely hear you.
Better.
Yeah, I said there was a Tennessee representative that brought up lynching, as form of execution for people dealing with the death penalty when it comes to the death penalty.
But that's
Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I heard somebody mention. So you're saying in the state of Tennessee they want to bring back hanging as a potential way of executing criminals?
I wouldn't say they want to bring it back. I said there was a representative that brought it up, and he did
Yeah.
apologize afterwards in the statement. So uh,
Well, with the state of
I
Utah.
do think
Now, keep in mind,
they
obviously,
are. Go
using the word lynching has a connotation of obviously racism, but hanging a condemned man is, I believe, still part of the choices you have in Utah. I think you still can be hung at when being put to death. I believe in Utah you still can be hung, but lynching, which is the same thing, but is
yeah,
often used in conjunction with racism.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like I said, I do agree with the death penalty, but I think there are some problem when it comes to people that are wrongfully convicted of a crime. And there are several examples, right? So someone will go to jail and they'll face 30 years, and they're wrongfully convicted of
Okay, well,
certain
I
crime,
don't
and
want
they'll get
to.
out.
Yeah, yeah, I don't want to spawn it into a conversation about the death penalty because that's kind of off topic. But in regards to what's going on, I know you said you are not aware of what's happening in Mississippi, but just overall, do you see our
But what's going
society?
on?
Well,
Uh,
I don't want to. I mean, I would have to give you a lengthy discussion. If you're totally unaware of what they passed down there, I would invite you to, go on Google. The bills are House Bill HB 1020 and SB 2889. But I've already explained it a few times. I don't want to give the lengthy explanation for it. So, if you will,
yeah,
go ahead and check that out and come on back through anytime, man. Get in the comments. What topic did he call for? Well, you hadn't been listening in, so I don't agree with the death penalty because it's unfair between black and white, says MDJ. Well, in reality, our entire criminal justice system is unfair. Obviously, there are racial overtones to it, but it doesn't stop at the difference between whites and minorities. Women get treated different in our justice system as well. How many women are on death row? You think women ain't going around shooting and killing people? There's a difference between rich and poor. So there are a lot of differences, unfair, biased differences in our criminal justice system. But yeah, women definitely get lighter sentences for the same crimes as men. They do. And certainly, whether we're talking civil, whether we're talking criminal, women get treated different in court than men do. Just like some would say that whites get treated different in court than blacks do. And obviously, if you have a decent amount of money, you're going to get treated different than somebody who doesn't because you can hire better legal counsel, do better investigations and things like that. Like, say, for instance, with O.J. Simpson, which happens to be probably the only well-known African American to get off with killing a white person. He was able to dig up stuff, like, say, for instance, on Mark Furman using the N-word in a whole different state dozens of years ago. The average black man can't pay an attorney to go digging through shit like that. That would have never came out, even though that made a significant difference in that trial. That would have never come up. The fact that the police that handled the evidence used the N-word 15, 20 damn years ago. What do they call him? A public defender would have found that out? No, it would have never came up. So money absolutely makes a difference. Nevertheless, let's keep it moving. Joe and Ross, welcome back to the program. Good afternoon, Joan. If TikTok allows him to come in. Politicians get off a lot too. Yeah, that is right. How many of you guys saw what is the trial that just ended yesterday where the guy was found guilty? I can't think of his name right now. But that was a case where the wealthy man did not win, but it looks like it's simply because he didn't do enough homework. As an attorney, he made some mistakes you would not have thought a guy would have made. Joan, good afternoon.
What's happening, my brother? How you doing today?
I don't even know at this point, man. Have you heard about what's happening in Mississippi with that so-called Jim Crow legislation?
Yeah, I heard about it, brother. I heard about it. Um, It is to me, with that legislation, me thinking about it, they should never really brought that up because they already have laws on the books that does certain things. But when you bring up legislations like that, it give people that eye look looking at you like, what the hell are you doing? It's,
No, yeah, and I can totally understand that I look, because the first thing is there has to be an ulterior motive why you're circumventing the current government, the current police force to do all this for one white neighborhood. I mean, yeah, it does seem to be fairly obvious.
yeah, and for most people who look at it, they can see that there's a reality. There's something going on different here.
Yeah.
And what make it different? Why do that? When we got systematic things that's happening in our society within our laws, why try to make it more obvious to people to say certain things, to say that look kind of racist? you know
But is it possible? What are the chances you think that what's happening in Jackson, Mississippi, which is a overwhelmingly Democratic city, now being overran by the Republican politicians in the state? What are the chances this could happen somewhere else? There are Democratic cities and Republican states all over the damn place. New Orleans, Memphis, Louisville, Birmingham, Alabama. Do you think this could happen in other places?
Yes, of course it can, because they have to realize who's in power in that government. And see, a lot of people don't understand. You have small legislations or small areas of people who's in control. If we don't vote like within the in the offset of the voting season, we'll never be in a position to fight against it. And see, we have to understand this, because most of the time these people in these small governments are, of course, sometimes Republican. And I ain't gonna, I ain't gonna speak ill of my brothers, because, I have Republicans in my family, and and of course I'm a conservative as well. However, certain things I would not go for. Certain things I would see that, hey, brother, that don't sound right to me. And
So you're conservative, right? You're
yes,
African American, you're conservative. Okay, did you support Trump either time?
I support Trump the first time.
Okay. How do you feel about folks being a conservative yourself? How do you feel about particularly African Americans suggesting that the Conservative Party and President Trump himself is racist? How do you look at that?
I don't see Trump as racist, and I'm gonna give you the reason why. Trump is all about that mighty dollar bill. It don't matter who you are. If you got the money, you is Trump friend.
What if the money is coming from a racist? Would they still be his friend?
Shoot, Trump don't care who it is, where the money coming from. That man
So,
don't care
so even if you're not a, but think of it this way though. Even if you are not a racist, but you're willing to work with racists and take their money, what's the difference?
because we have to think about the art of business. Many businesses accept racist money, no matter where it come from. If you go to Walmart, do Walmart care where your money come from?
Yeah, but Walmart is not making decisions that could affect your life. Walmart is not a legislative power.
Yeah, well, we can't say that, because they got some we got some big lobbyists.
You're not really comparing Walmart to the president of the United States, are you?
No, I'm not. No.
Okay, all right.
Walmart don't have that much power, but Walmart do have people on the legislative floor to make certain decisions for them.
Yeah, well, yeah, I get that part, but that's the question I'm asking you though. If the president is willing to take money and work with openly racist people, what's the difference between him also being openly racist?
Oh, we got to think about it. Have he created any policies that's going to be against African Americans? Have any
Depends on who
policies?
you
Yeah,
ask. It depends on who you ask.
yeah, but that's what I'm thinking about. Have he created any policies that's going to be against me?
Well, I'll give you an example. In the state of Arizona, Sheriff Joe Arpaio, you might know who he is. He was a well-known sheriff down in Phoenix.
Yeah,
Sheriff
Phoenix,
Joe
Arizona. Yeah.
Arpaio Huh?
Yes, you're right. In Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah, Sheriff Joe Arpaio was having his deputies stop anybody that looked Hispanic, anybody that was brown, and demand they show paperwork that they had a right to be in the United States. Now, that could cover people who were naturally born here, second, third generation Mexicans, anybody that's brown, they could stop you and demand your paperwork, which is a clear violation of search and seizure constitutional rights. He was arrested and convicted of that and about to be sentenced to prison. Trump pardoned him. Now, do you see stopping people based solely on their skin color, which is some Sheriff Joe Arpaio was doing, not Trump, but do you see that as a racist act? Stopping people solely based on skin color and demanding they show paperwork.
You know, I can see how people can see that as being racist. I'm gonna tell you the reason why. If you just stopping these minority, these type of minority of people can look to it that way. However, did Trump?
How do you look to it? How do you look to that?
I look to it in the way that Trump got Lil Wayne out of jail, didn't he?
No. He did do that, but let's stick to this topic. How do you look at a sheriff stopping folks because of their color and demanding paperwork? Do you see that as being racist?
It can appear to be. I can give you that. It can appear to be.
Does it appear to be racist to you? Did I lose you?
No, I'm still here. I'm still my animals trying to open my doors. But
okay. Do you see what he was doing? Do you see what he was doing, stopping people of color, as racist? Do you see that as racist?
The gentleman in Arizona, yes, but who policy was that? That was on the Trump policy.
His policy. No, it was his policy.
Okay, yeah, if that's him, that's the individual. He doing that himself, ain't he?
Yes. So if you admit what he was doing is racist, how do you feel when he was about to be sentenced for his racist act? Trump pardoned him. How do you feel about Trump doing that? You're admitting that the guy, what he was doing was racist, was about to be punished for it, and the president stepped in and stopped him from being punished. How do you view that? Take your time. Just asking because this actually happened. So I'm asking you that. This actually happened.
The situation with that, wherever go behind the scenes, wherever the man and them beg Trump to help him out or whatever going on with that, I guess that was between him and Trump.
So you're saying that Trump potentially had a behind the scenes deal with an open racist?
It's a possibility. The man probably begged for the help.
So how do you feel as an African American admitting that the guy I supported from the party that I affiliate with openly had a deal potentially with a known racist? I mean, how does that make you view Trump any differently?
Well, I just, I don't view Trump in any type of way as just a man who is out there who's trying to get himself out of whatever he got himself into, trying to make the money. That I look at him. He this is a money hungry type of guy. Because I done met many people like that who is money hungry, man, who gonna grift out there, grift their own people.
Wait. You're saying that you believe Trump is money hungry?
Yeah.
So a lot of Trump supporters believe successful businessman. He is he's a president of the people and can relate to us. He cares about America. That goes against your statement that he's money hungry. Are they wrong?
Quite naturally, because they're not looking at the reality of it. Trump is griffing like that, especially with donations and all type of things like that. How can a man who calls himself a self-made rich man who have billions of dollars do any of these things like that? There's something's going on behind the scenes that they're not realizing what's happening. I believe Trump is out there griffing for money because he see his money running out. He just money hungry. He want all. It's like, you ever remember? Was it the duck, Griff the duck?
So you almost make Trump sound like he's a member of the deep state when you're talking, man.
Well,
So
with,
do you
it
think
was
Trump? Do you think we should put Trump back in 2024? I'm sure you're conservative. You
oh,
don't like Biden. I'm sure you think Biden is failing us, but do you think Trump would be a good replacement for Biden?
no, no, no.
Why not? Why not?
Under Trump, what some people might not want to say, we've seen a lot of things happen under Trump. The same thing under Obama, but that's another story for a different time. Under Trump, I've seen a lot of division happen under Trump. I've seen a lot of things, fights between the family. People start to get in their own corners and start to do certain things and not, being opening some of the things that they thinking in their mind. They saying out in the open.
But you're saying he's divisive.
Yeah, a lot of divisive things that happens into people's family who is Republican, who is Democrat.
Who do you think? Who do you, being a conservative, who would you like to see going forward, 2024?
None of these candidates are coming up now.
Damn.
I want to see some unifiers. I
You
want to
can't
go
think
back
of anybody decent in the Republican Party that you would like to see that would be for unity?
I don't see nobody, because nobody is speaking really for themselves.
All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's, to me, to me, you got to have your own mind. To me, you got to have your own mind.
I can't argue with that.
If you don't have your own mind and speaking for yourself and speaking against wrongdoing, you're not going to be for the whole people. So,
all right. I gotta move it on. Appreciate you coming through. Hey, interesting conversation. Joe, in my last caller there, obviously admitted he voted for Trump in 2016. Doesn't sound like he's a big Trump fan at this point. What do you guys think in the comment section? Now, he said, though, that he certainly does not see Trump as racist. He sees Trump as trafficking in green, as in I don't give a shit about black or white. I only care about green. But he also did refer to Trump as a grifter. I've heard that a lot, generally coming from the left side of the aisle. All right, looking in the comments. Only president that left with less money than he started. $500 million, never took a paycheck, no alcohol. No, he didn't drink. But in regards to whether Trump left with more money than he started, that is debatable, because the guy wouldn't even release his taxes. You don't know if he's making money or not. Now, I do know that he was advised to stop having dignitaries stay at his properties, and apparently was overcharging them. So it's hard to say if he was making money or not. Now, being commander in chief, I believe that particular appointment pays $400,000 or $500,000 a year. For a guy like Trump, multiple billions, properties all over the country, businesses all over the world, $500,000, turning down $500,000 in annual salary is nothing. It's literally nothing if you got businesses all over the country that you can use the fact that you're president to fill up those businesses. So while he was taking no salary over here, who knows what's happening over there? I'm not going to hold him accountable for, say, his daughter, but didn't they say she received dozens of patents from China? Do you think she would have gotten those if Hillary Clinton had won? Think she would have gotten them with the same, expediency? So the idea that Trump did not make any money while president, the jury's out on that. You don't have his taxes. You do not know what he was involved in. So there's no way to be certain other than to say, well, he didn't take a presidential salary. You're right on that. But outside of that, you don't know you don't know what the hell else is going on. When you have as much money and as many businesses as President Trump, just the power of being president that may exclude you from tax duties and all kinds of other shit may be more valuable to you than the $500,000 or so you're turning down in salaries. You don't know what other ways he was making money. For instance, he didn't have to fly his Trump jet. He could get in Air Force One and go anywhere. That's worth money. When you think about how much money it costs to maintain an aircraft, fuel it, have an entire crew and all of that. He could get rid of all of that for the time he was president. So for 4 years, he didn't need that crew at all. Same thing with a security detail. Guy like President Trump would have certainly had a security detail most of his entire adult life. Once he became president, you don't need that security detail. How much money is he saving getting rid of that entire security detail? So there's no denying he didn't take the presidential salary, but it's hard to argue that he didn't make any money just simply by enjoying the other perks of being president. All of his travel expenses suddenly disappear because he's president. That alone could be $500,000 for somebody in Trump's position. Looking in the comments section, his license or his something in shell companies have other ways of making money. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Now in the comments, Knucklehead, love the comments, love the name, says that's not the point. No, it's not the point, because that's, if we start going into that area, suddenly turning down a presidential salary starts being negated. So yeah, of course we don't want to go into that area. Now, if he said, not only did I not take a presidential salary, but I'm also going to reimburse the government for any excessive travel expenses. I'm not going to make you guys pay for my golf outings or any of that. Then you might be onto something. But because he was president, now he can fly to all his golf courses for free. All his travel is free. Like I stated before becoming president, as a very wealthy citizen, he had an airplane crew, he had a security detail. All of these folks are making money. As president, he could get rid of all of that. So that alone would probably be as much as he refused to take or didn't take being president. But as you say, that's not the point. We're not going to count all of that. We're only going to focus on the presidential salary he didn't take. If you look at it that way, okay, fair enough. Looking in the comments, we paid for it, taxpayers, yeah? Kennedy didn't take money also. Well, we didn't save a lot of money with Kennedy, did we? I mean, unfortunately, he didn't finish the job. He wanted to use his own plane, says Nick Lance. Well, even if he used his own aircraft, it's not going to fit the needs of Air Force One. His plane is smaller than a 747. That's the first thing. It doesn't have all of the security devices in that Air Force One. I mean, we know there's flares, but for all we know, there may be all kinds of other countermeasures that are in Air Force One that are not in the Trump aircraft. I'm sure he doesn't have anywhere near the radar capabilities, the encrypting capability. You can't fly your own damn plane as a president. No different than you can't drive your own damn car when you become president. It does not meet the needs. So even if he wanted to fly his own aircraft, they would have had to tear it apart and re-outfit it. That aircraft does not have the range of a fully fueled 747. You can't fly your own damn airplane. That's crazy. His plane is a 757. Whatever it is, it's not Air Force One. It does not have remote anywhere near the confidential, secretive military capabilities of Air Force One. Not to mention the pilots that are trained to fly Air Force One. I'm sure they're the best and brightest, as Trump would say. Do we suddenly put the president behind the controls of his own pilots that have not been screened necessarily? I don't know. I don't see how you don't get that. Nuke is needed to shut everyone up. Only one nuke? You think that would do? And then his son-in-law got $2 billion the day he left. Wow. I don't know about his son-in-law. You talking about Jared Kushner? Is it possible? Highly possible. The point we're trying to make here is this. President Trump turned down a presidential salary. We all know that. But beyond that, we do not know. Did he turn down that $500,000 and make a ton of money somewhere else? There's no way to know. You don't have access to his finances. It's not like he was being transparent. He was hiding his finances tooth and nail. Are there any form of tax deductions you get when you're commander-in-chief? You think he turned that down? So it's really difficult to go around and brag that he didn't take any money without knowing all the facts. Who cares, says T-Day. Well, it came up. That's why we're talking about it. At the end of the day, it came up. When you ask who cares, Does that who cares sentiment only take place when someone is questioning his finances like myself? Or does folks who say who cares happen to be the same folks who were bragging that he didn't take a salary? What if when you said President Trump, when he was in office, he didn't take a salary and someone said who cares? Would you feel the same way? Look at the Trump fought for himself, not America. Wow. Did Trump invite family? Well, whole Trump family are garbage. What makes you say that? I don't know if I would say that. Trump just wrote off his pay. It was a tax break. I think that probably would be likely. I do believe that. We know it's not just a dig on Trump. We know that wealthy folks have a hell of a lot more tax exclusions than us working folks do. And many of them take advantage of that. Very few people are going to pay more in taxes than they have to. And the way the system is tailored, the more money you make, the more tax deductions and credits you get. So there's no denying that tax-wise, Trump probably benefited to the tune of millions of dollars by being president. We know just from hiring attorneys alone, there are benefits. I mean, when you're getting in trouble as much as Trump was, I mean, there's a hell of a lot of issues there. So, I don't know. Listen, the man didn't take $500,000, but I definitely believe that there are other areas of that position where he made that money up at. Maybe I'm wrong. You guys let me know. Anyhow, as always, you know what I do around this time. This is a lunch break live. I do have to terminate the live as always. I don't ban, block, or censor anyone for their commentary. I do appreciate the fact you guys are always rolling with your boy. 11:30 a.m. Central until generally about now. Nevertheless, it is Friday. Hopefully you guys have a good weekend and do not fall victim to the Jim Crow laws in Mississippi, whatever you think about that. Until the next one, I'll catch you later. It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. I got to go.